Hi, this is Bill Varney from your saltwater guide and fishthesurf.com with your surf fishing report for Thursday, January 16th. So once again, we're going up north. We're going to start up north. We're going to talk a little bit about Santa Barbara. You know, up in Santa Barbara, it's been a bit quiet over the past couple weeks. Really all along the California coast it's been that way. I know the fires have had something to do that, and of course the time of year and so forth. And people who took all that time off for Christmas and the holidays obviously need to get back to work and have to stop ditching school and work in order to go surf fishing. So up in Santa Barbara, there's been a decent bite in the La Conchita area, the Ferrea area, and up in Goleta and Hope Ranch area for quite a few small hand-sized barred perch. That's really been the only news up there. There's been a few small halibut caught around the wharf area and the harbor, but they've all been small. None of them have been legals. Hopefully next week we'll get a little bit better bite and a little bit better coverage up in the Santa Barbara area. As we work our way down to Ventura, Port Hueneme, Hollywood Beach, Santa Clara River mouth, those areas have all been kicking out some really nice moderate sized to bigger sized barred surf perch and walleye in those areas. Those fish have been caught on lugworms, mussel, and really quite a few hard baits I've seen them on, and also on grubs. So that has been a really good bite in that area. Big news for up there has been not only that the yellowfin croaker bite continues up in Ventura, but last week a 28-inch striper was caught up there. So the striper, once again, they're right back in the report. They were out for about 3 weeks now, and now they're right back in the report. I was talking to Ben up at Hook, Line, and Sinker this morning, and he pointed out a very good point that we haven't had as much rain, or really any rain, in the last 3 months or so in Southern California. And that rain, that brackish water, it really turns those stripers on. So we really have had less this time of year than we would normally catch. But when this weather changes, and I think in the next couple weeks we're going to see a big change in the weather and rain come into Southern California in February, that will change and we will see more striper in the count. And you'll find them everywhere from Tijuana to as far north as you can fish. They're all along the California coast now. Down at Malibu, let's talk a little bit about Malibu. Once again, my heart is broken. I feel so bad for Jenny Wiley and the loss of Wiley's. That tackle shop was there since the late 1940s. I was thinking today that the very first time I went to that tackle shop with my dad was 61 years ago. So a real iconic place, had a collection of so many great bits of history that we've lost. And I really feel bad about that. So I'm hoping some way that will come about, some way and become better. We'll just see as time goes on. But fishing in Malibu, there's really no fishing, obviously, from the Santa Monica Pier all the way up to the Malibu Pier. Really, all of that is closed for firefighting activities. But when you get above that, Broad Beach, all the way up to Point Magoo, all of those areas are still open. You may have to approach them from the north, but those areas are open and they're still kicking out some very big perch. Now remember, in that area, you know, those perch will bite on small swim baits, corn, peas sometimes, mussel, lugworms, bloodworms, all the clams, all of those grubs, all of those different baits. They'll bite up in that area, and you've got calico surf perch, big barred surf perch, and the biggest ones I've ever seen are up in that zone, and walleye surf perch, and of course buttermouth. All of those are up in that zone. There's some very good fishing at places like Leo Carrillo, Matador State Beach, Point Magoo itself, Thorn Broomhill. All of those beaches are going to provide good perch fishing. But if you can, try to concentrate in areas that are near rock structure. We have rocks like a reef or a rock point and then sand adjacent to it. Fish on that very edge, that's where the really big fish are going to be foraging. So that's how we're looking in Malibu for now. We're going to have a lot of information on that in the future as we figure out what's going to happen with all of these toxins and if they're going to be washed into the ocean. We'll talk about that as time goes on. Orange County, not a lot to report in Orange County, but the yellowfin, first of all, the yellowfin croaker fishing down there's been really good. There's been quite a few yellowfin over 20 inches caught on the iron. So a lot of guys are using a 1/2 ounce Croc-Master, a half-ounce crocodile. Those all work really well, and as we talked last week, those yellowfin, they always run in schools. They're very infrequently, if ever, alone, unlike a corvina. And so when you catch one, you cast that one spot and you catch one, you want to continue to keep casting to that area, because most likely there's many more there too. And those yellowfin croaker, they get really big. I've seen 6 and 8 pounders in Huntington Beach. So keep shooting out there, keep trying for them. You might get some 12 inchers, but mixed in with that, there's going to be some really big fish. And then the other news down there was last week there was a 30-inch striper caught in Orange County. So we've seen a couple of those come back. There's one in Ventura, one in Orange County. We didn't see them for about a month or so, and now there's a few back. I don't know what's bringing them in, but hopefully, like I said, a little bit of rain will really change things there. And then when we get down to San Diego, you know, San Diego's really interesting right now. Not much fishing on the beach, not much catching really on the beach. There's been a few zebra perch caught on the beach off a rock structure, like at Ponto and areas like that, Mission Bay Harbor, the rocks around the harbor there off of Pacific Beach. Places like that, there has been some zebra perch, some really good fishing for those actually. And then there's been barred perch. They've all been fairly small, those palm-sized ones, really Del Mar, really all along the beach. I know there's quite a few areas, like the central area of Carlsbad, below from Ponto, and then below the campsite there. There's a lot of rocks on the shore there. There's other areas where the sand is gone. So when you're in San Diego, you want to drive around, you want to look for those areas where you have rock structure, even if it's just exposed on the beach, adjacent to sand area, and fish all of those edges. So that has been okay, but really the big news down in San Diego has been in the bays, in both Mission Bay and in San Diego Bay. Number one, the bonefish are beginning to bite. So those of you who like to fish light line using ghost shrimp, either from shore or from a boat, that bay fishing for bonefish in both Mission Bay, the back of Mission Bay, and in particular the area where the, can't remember what the bay's called, but the area where they have all of the jet skis going around. For some reason, that's a particularly good bonefish area. And then in the San Diego harbor, in the very back of the harbor, back where the Navy ships are, that's where the bonefish are in the harbor there. So they've begun to bite. And then the other big news in the bay down there, and also in Mission Bay, and I think we're obviously going to see this in Huntington Harbor, LA Harbor, and so forth, is that based on all this anchovy that's come in and this anchovy that's in the bait receivers, the halibut fishing is really turned on. In those two bays, there's been 1 to 2 dozen legals caught in the last week, and very little coverage. Had one angler with 3 legals the other day. So some really good fishing in both of those bays using the Carolina rig and dragging an anchovy on the bottom. That is candy to those halibut. And then the other news in San Diego Bay has been a really decent bite on bonito down there, both off of the point, Shelter Island Point, where the harbor master is, has been a decent area, and then back toward the Coronado Bridge. Both of those spots have had bonito inside of the bay. So the surf fishing report, the bay fishing report, has been pretty good for the middle of the winter. Hopefully next week we'll get more coverage. I think we're going to see a lot of the same weather over the next really 14 days before the weather changes, where we've got calm days or light offshore winds. It doesn't look like we'll get another big Santa Ana. We'll have these lighter Santa Anas, these calm or light offshore winds with a slight onshore wind in the afternoon. I think we're going to see that for about another 10 to 14 days before the weather changes. So get down to the beach, catch some fish. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for watching our surf fishing report. To learn more about surf fishing, go to yoursaltwaterguide.com, where you'll find videos, dozens of articles, and our weekly surf fishing game plan to help make you a better angler on the beach. Once again, yoursaltwaterguide.com. Thank you so much for watching.